Gotcha. This meeting is being recorded.
I know. I like that new message. Actually, I like it because it reminds me that, yes, I did actually turn on recording.
Right.
So that's handy. Well, you know, it makes sense because not everybody actually wants to be recorded. I'm just gonna I think I'm just gonna slide this back a little bit. I'm not gonna use the I'm not gonna use my Zoom control because I'm not sure if that's what caused the problems. And for some of you that missed me talking in the beginning, I've lost one of the lights in my studio. It died on me, so I'm feeling like I've got this light on my face, but I'm less concerned about this and more concerned about that. So I think the colors in here look pretty good. Yeah, it was great. I have those studio lights. Oh geez, I can't remember the name of them, but I got them last August, and you know, I sent them a message and said that they have warm and cool settings, and you can, you know, get any combination of that you want for your studio. You can set, they don't remotely move, but they remotely change the setting from warm to cool. So I sent them a message and just told them when I bought it, and they're putting a new one in the mail. So
oh, nice.
that was, yeah, I know. I thought that, I mean, they weren't cheap. So I was really pleased with customer service there. That's always nice.
So but where do they go, on the ceiling?
Yeah, they fit right into the
ceiling.
Yeah, they fit right into the ceiling. You know, those ceiling, you know, cuffs that are.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
Yeah. So it's actually, they're really, really nice. I like them a lot because that the other ones we had really were definitely very warm light, and you know, I think the color appears more natural if you're using a combination of a cooler light, if not totally a cooler light. It depends on the light that's in your studio too.
Betsy, would you mind sharing the make?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to forget, I have the box right here. They're actually called method lights. And I had found out about them when I was at the International Association of Pastel Societies, the convention 2 years ago, IAPS. And they had a wonderful display there. And besides your actual studio lights, they had some that'll go on your easel. They also had the kind that if you wanted to light your artwork that's hanging on the wall. So they have a really nice selection. And this one's actually called the Art Studio Light. And when I send out the recording of this, what I'll do is I'll include the name again and the website.
Thank you.
Like I said, they weren't cheap. I'm kind of thinking they were like around the $150 mark.
For how many?
But I'll tell you, huge difference. I absolutely love them. What like I said, what I like is that it gets rid of a lot of that warm light that exists in this room. But you'd have to play that by your own studio. I don't get any north light. North is that way. So, but I do get sun that tracks the whole length over here during the day, most of the year. You know, summertime, it starts going that way. So it does, it works out super, super good. But, and, you know, lighting is really important. You know, even if you have a small space, well, I mean, I have a small space, but if you're just actually have like a table, you just want to make sure that whatever sort of lighting you have on there is actually capturing the true colors of your painting, and not like right now, this is like, well, look at my hair. My hair is looking like it's not this color.
You're not a redhead.
So I'm looking at, that's why I'm trying to make sure over here. And I think this light here is helping to balance that. So, well, thank you for coming. Can't believe it's June. So this is actually the 6th one I did. And, you know, and it's been really fun. I did switch the time. You know, and I thought in the summertime or when the weather was a little nicer, you know, that this 5 o'clock mark on a Thursday may work out better. You know, people are out and about, and then I begin to, well, I'm supposed to start today my first plein air painting class of the year. And what's it doing on Cape Cod, everybody?
Raining.
Oh,
All
my
day.
dog and I were out in it. Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you can get away with it if it's like a little bit of cloudy or those little bits of spurts that come and go and they're no big deal. I mean, it's been, we've had some reprieve during the day, but it's been a wet day. And
So you
past
did
those
not have
days-
you did not hold your class today?
No, I did not. So
Okay,
what'll
I
happen
don't
if
feel
you're
so
signed
bad,
up
okay.
for it? Yeah, I did, just in case anyone who signed up for it, if you missed it, what happens is everybody gets the notice that's on the plein air group list that says where it's going to be. You respond to me to say you're coming. And if it's canceled, the people that responded to me get an email. And part of that is there's nothing worse than getting 5 million emails about something you're not even doing. So the cancellation email goes to those people that actually, you know, confirmed that they were coming, you know, or even if you did in the morning, I'd let you know. Especially if you're off Cape and you don't know what the weather's like and you're traveling here. So I thought today I would take you through hopefully the finishing marks of painting that I started as a demonstration on painting water yesterday. And I'll just do a brief little review of what we did in class. And I'm just going to take you through some of the, you know, finishing touches that will actually pull the painting together. That's the plan. Okay. So what I have here is my, well, this is the
Betsy,
yes.
I have a question.
Can you say that again?
I'm seeing, this is Connie speaking,
Hi, Connie.
and I'm seeing, hi, I'm seeing, not just you, but participants. Did you want to be full screen?
Thank you
Or
very
is that
much, Connie. Let me, I should be full screen. I'm just going to remove Spotlight for a minute. And I'm going to put Spotlight back up again, just in case. Spotlight, and I'm going to, and I am on speaker view. So you should see just me. And if you're not, my suggestion is look on your device.
Yeah.
And make sure that you are on speaker view. Are you on a laptop or an iPad?
I'm on an iPhone, but I've done this before on my iPhone and it worked out fine.
Yeah. No, an iPhone will work, but you just have to
Okay.
anyone who has an iPhone, maybe
Yeah.
you can say where the little icons are, so you can hit it so that you're actually looking at it speaker view. And then
Yeah.
I should be full
Actually,
full
Paula
screen.
is on an iPad. She can tell, she can say what it is. Paula, do you have a small icon that says view?
Oh, I'm looking.
And
Mine-
it is in different locations, different places. On my laptop, it's the top right-hand side.
Yeah,
I know
on the
people have
laptop, that's where it is, but on the iPad or the iPhone, it
Yeah.
might be different.
Could be something else.
So,
Wait,
I mean, I'm seeing everything fine as far as I can tell, but on an iPad at least, in the upper right-hand corner, there's an option that says more. And when I clicked on more, there is a meeting settings option, which perhaps would
What?
be what you need.
raise hand, chat, meeting setting,
Yes.
meetings, topic, show. Oh, show
So basically, you
show
want
non-video participants, show self, show connected. I don't see anything. Oh, we try.
You might just try double tapping Betsy's picture.
Okay, now I'm gonna get back to that. Don't know what I'm doing here, obviously. Okay, well, never mind. Just continue on and I'll fiddle around with it as you go along, okay?
Can I just say I was successful in getting rid of all of us? And it said, hide thumbnail view.
And how did you get to that?
Oh, I was playing around with the 3 dots that somebody mentioned.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Sure,
All right.
thanks.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and the 3 dots, you know, the other thing you can be looking for is the word that says view, because that would also put me onto speaker, and you want to be clicking speaker view. Okay, when yeah, and just if you really have trouble, just say something again. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yep. Okay, so what I have here, this is the photograph. A few weeks ago, I was plein air painting up in West Yarmouth. I took a huge selection of photographs. It was a beautiful area overlooking the marsh and the inlet of water that was coming in. And there was, you know, ducks in the water. It was, you know, really quite a happy little scene there. You know, it's the sort of place that's like, oh, great, summer's here. So from the photograph, what I typically do is in my sketchbook, I'll just jot down some words that actually go along with the setting. Some of it is things that are tangible and you know, that we can actually see, you know, location, where is the sun, what's the sky like, you know, are there clouds, wind, you know, all those different sorts of things that actually set the stage for the location. Some of the other words that I tend to write down are ones that are a little bit more internal words. The other ones are external. We see them. The internal words, you know, what do I think about the place? You know, what sort of either memories do I have or feelings, you know, more the emotive part of trying to set some sort of personal attachment to the painting. So I did that on here for class yesterday, just so that they could see that connection between the tangible or external things that everybody's going to see and the internal things that actually come from within. And that's a really nice way of taking and turning your art into something that's a little bit more personal and moving away from trying to capture total realism. But there's absolutely nothing the matter with realism at all. But this is just a way of really, you know, taking that artistic license with the scene. The other thing that I do is then I take and I do both a value sketch, large shapes only. Usually do it in 4 values, not counting white, the paper, or black, my backing. And I use this black backing both inside and outside. And that acts as my black, and the white paper acts as my white. And the only time that doesn't work is when I'm using gray paper. So I have a 4 value sketch that I do, big shapes, no details. And I'm just working on, you know, how do I want to set up this composition? What am I looking for within that painting? And as I started developing this, that's when I'm also thinking of these words. And I saw this lovely movement that was happening across the photograph. And I exaggerated it, to tell you the truth, because I love that feeling of a shape that's just, you know, cutting across that water and cutting across the actual reflections. Just gonna drop that down a bit because that photo is now not important anymore. From there, I make a notan, and a notan is just turning your value sketch into those basic shapes, black and white, dark and light, so that anything that I shaded in light stays the color of the paper. Anything that I shaded in either the medium dark or the dark becomes the shape. So what happens is in a very simple manner, you wind up with the big shapes, and you've broken them down into what value that overall shape is going to be. And this is where I start exaggerating, giving a little bit more of a sweep over here, forgetting the photograph a little bit more, taking and just rearranging things. Yes, there is a reflection here of these trees, but I want them to be paler. So even though the reflection shows up here, I'm counting this as a light area, so the no tan does not necessarily pick up the reflections, because I want them to fall in the light zone, not in the dark zone. So if you haven't worked with no tans before, it's a really wonderful way of really setting up a composition that relies on the shapes, but also on the movement and the positioning. And just, sorry, did someone have a question? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, every once in a while I just heard a noise. I thought somebody was trying to get my attention. The next thing I do is break the no tan into quarters, and I look at each quarter, identifying whether it is mostly light or mostly dark. And that's when I adjust it. So that's what I did in class yesterday. I was just using the eraser and just adjusting it because I want it to be a 3/4 ratio. I want to have either 3 light boxes or 3 dark boxes. So I don't have a painting that is half dark and half light. And again, the light and dark does not mean it has to be really dark. You can do this with a scene where all you're doing is using values that are at the light end of the scale. And on the light end of the scale, it just means this is my dark. On a full scale, there's my dark. If I was doing a painting that was a nighttime scene, okay, my light's now reduced, and this is my lightest area here. So whatever is considered the light and the dark does adjust to your range of values. It's worth looking up if you have not done no tans before. My YouTube channel also has a video of making a no tan, starting with a sketch of some boats. So you can always look that up too. Okay, so that's it. So I set this up. We did a wet wash underpainting, really starting with just the dark shapes of the trees, some of the reflections, the grasses in the foreground, all those areas that I wanted to start off in the dark zone, got them in, and then have slowly built up the layering on top. So today I thought it would be fun to just show you choosing the colors, getting on the paint, well, the pastel, and really trying to fine tune some areas and keeping other areas loose, because the whole point of this was keeping loose. So there are a couple of things that stood out to me as being a little bit more problematic. One, and I always think it's hilarious when you're doing it, you do a demo, and I'm thinking when I got to the end, this reflection's totally wrong. So I have to fix this reflection. So what I'm going to do that first, because I am going to add just a little bit of alcohol to it. There's where the land meets the water. From where that is, hang on a second. Land meets the water. Okay, go here, measure that, top of the tree, okay. Now, from where the land is, I come down, and this is how far that reflection is supposed to be there. This, of course, is going to change depending on, if you have how much your water is moving. Let me just get this in. Came out here. I'm just going to get that in really lightly. I did not use the really dark because this area here, I do want this reflection to be fairly light. That looks much better. You know what, actually, rather than doing the liquid, I'm just going to use a piece of pipe insulation foam, and I'm just going to push it in. I don't do a lot of pipe insulation foam because if you do use that, it does kick up dust. So be very careful. That dust in the air. I don't have my air purifier on. I don't want it to interfere with the noise. But the more you rub with tools, the more you create dust. That dust goes in the air, it's in the air, you breathe it. So use it to a minimum, or have something on so that you can purify the air. Just going to use a little bit. I have the barrier cream on my hands, but I think what I'm going to do is just put on the glove I was using earlier. Okay, so that makes more sense, okay? But notice I've made it lighter, because here I want the reflection to remain light. I want this reflection to be darker. So that guy's light. That was one problem. The other problem was, you know, the photograph shows it being a very washed out sky. I put light color down, but the light color is just way too light. So what I'm going to do, these are cool greens, warm greens, cool blues, warm blues. Going for something that's a little cooler and a little darker. I can go over it and I can change that. I am just going to just sweep this over, get a little bit of depth to that. This UArt paper, come right down in here. Okay, try to avoid having it go straight across. Okay, that makes more sense. Now I'm going to come in with one of these light colors that I used yesterday. So let's test this one. That's another, there's one. That feels cooler. You know, next to this warm. I'm going to soften it just by coming in a little bit. You can get a little bit of that darkness there. That's up higher in the sky. Nice, quick little movements back and forth. I'm going to take a couple of this. I'm going to just move this down in here, bring it a little bit in here. Light sources over here. UArt paper, it's very easy to move it around. I do most of my painting on pastel mat, which it's not as easy to do that. See that darker, there's a little bit more light to the sky now. I'm feeling like there's a little more movement because I can see contrast with those two light values before. You know, up close you could see contrast, but I could not see contrast to give that lovely little feeling of that sky moving. And you want skies to feel like they're airy. So I don't want to do a lot of blending, but since I have the UArt, I might as well take a bit. Okay, lot more light that's happening in there. Okay, this here, I used a very light blue, but I would really like to actually bring in a little bit of warmth at that horizon. So I'm going to just lift up that. And see, this is why you work upright, all that's going down. So I don't have to worry about that. If you're doing a painting and you're worried about the particles falling on, you can slightly tip your board forward. This is secure, so I can't do that. The other thing you can do is, well, there were two things. Don't know what the other thing is. It went right out of my head. Anyone have any idea what I was going to say?
Well, you could tap it, right? Just
Yeah, you can tap it. Yeah, you can tap it. Oh, thank you. That spurred my memory. The other thing. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So if you were knocking off this area, but you didn't want it to get on this area, you could just take your board. This is stationary. I can't pick it up. Take your painting off, flip your painting upside down, and then when you're brushing it, it's falling on the part that you're actually taking off. So you don't have it falling this way, you have it falling clearly reversed. Does that make sense? Since I couldn't actually show you. Okay, see this orangey, peachy color that I had in here for the marshes was really a standalone, which is okay, but I think it would work better if I took some of that color and I put that as if it was falling on that low part of the horizon. And we've all seen that, you know, especially on those days where the light is feeling the sky's feeling warm. We're seeing that little bit of light that's just on the edge. Okay, just softening that up a bit. And I'm going to come in with, test this one. Come in with the lighter one. And I'm just gonna work up. Yeah, and I must admit, I find with this paper, I do tend to have to pastel matte, it'll hold it, which means I don't have to go in and, you know, press it in with my finger, but with the UArt, I feel like I have to just get in there and just come in, make a couple of these different. Now I have this lovely warm-ish glow that is right along that horizon here. Let's put a little bit more right here. Now, these guys are no longer on their own. I've got a variation of that color there. I can also measure there. Okay, that would be about here. Gotta put a little of it right there. Measure that. This is narrower land there. That's only about the size of my finger. So we're gonna put a little of that right there. So we're picking it up. Okay, just that little bit of life, little simple amount of color there, that right there. Let me put a couple little dots there. Okay, let me do that. I'm gonna get a little sky holes in here. Little sky holes right there. Now, at this point, I've already mentioned that I am not copying the photograph. I'm kind of making some of this up to suit my my own vision of that scene. So I'm not as worried about what's going on in the photograph that you can't see. So don't. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Little pockets of this in here. It's showing through. These trees are not as dense as those. See that value difference there? That's popping right out. That might need to be knocked down later, but I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to make some edges of the tree trunks showing up in here. Just taking the side of my pastel. There, a couple right in there. This guy's slightly offset, but I have to be careful not to move everything right into the center. Let me just get a little bit right in here, break him up just a touch. Okay. And I'm just gonna take this. It's not gonna make sense if the land is too low there. So I am just going to raise that up just a tiny bit. But what's really nice is because there is a wet underpainting under here that is dried, and it was just pastel and alcohol. If I use, I like using my fan brush, but you can use other brushes too. If I just get in there and just lift lightly, I get that underpainting showing up again. So I've got this very diffused edge, very soft edge, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just kind of change that a little bit. Now, I had always used brushes, but it was taking a workshop with Nancy King-Mertz, and she used the fan brushes. And oh my gosh, I just love the fan brushes. They were wonderful. Okay, let's just come through there. Okay, so I'm going to come through and get a few more of these sky holes. Let me check. I'm using the lightest one. I'm not. Let me use this guy. There we go. And yes, I do tend to use some sort of paper to test. Now, what happens when you test a color over here, you're just comparing it to whatever other colors are around it on a white sheet of paper. I'm now taking this light color and I'm putting it where something is darker. So there is an adjustment factor, and you have to bear that in mind, that just because it looks like something over there, it's going to look a little different in this area here. Just a couple of little marks there. Okay, you can take the side of your finger. I'm going to break up this area in here just a little too. Going in. Side of my finger, and scrape through like that, and it helps to make tree trunks, limbs, and it breaks up those sharp, harder edged colors because of that I do like the way that little bit of light is falling through there. I feel like I need to really play that up a little bit. I had a conversation the other day about at what point do you start responding to the painting when you paint. Think about that when you're working. So right now, it's really more about how I'm putting in some of these light values to create the feeling of this tree that has some has a lot of sky holes in it. You're going to come through with a fairly, okay, this color may work, but I don't like that stick. For what I'm gonna do, I think it might be too awkward. Let's try it. Okay, gonna come in. This is a warmer color. It's also lighter, and I'm going to take, light's coming from here, remember? So I'm going to take, and I am going to do a little bit of drag sideways. So what happens is I wind up breaking up some of that harsh lines that I put there. And I'm also trying to capture a little bit of how the light is falling on the left side of the tree. You know, when we look at those trees, we wind up having, if I go up too high, I'm also going to have to think about how this works down below. Yeah. Okay, that's it. A little bit of light on this side. And sometimes when trees are so lit, we don't see really distinct. Look at this. This is a little too distinct right here. So I'm just going to take very, very soft, let that just lightly drag over it. I'm going to do the same here. I have that same thing happening there. Light on this side. These guys are farther back. You know, there's that, you know, if you things in the distance are cooler, more muted, the atmospheric perspective, you know, it's all the atmosphere that's between us, where I'm standing here, the edge of the pond, and off into the distance. So you can vary that by using pastels that have a more muted feel, but I do really want to catch this color here. I'm just going to now reflections. I do a lot of dragging straight down on that side. Okay, I added it here, so I'm just going to do a couple of down. I'm not doing it as a mirror copy. I'm doing it as just a little bit of a dangling colors that are falling down in here, breaking up that underpainting that's there a little bit more. I mean, if you wanted to be exact, you'd just pull out your, where did I put it? You would just pull this out, measure it again from the shoreline, water shoreline right here. How high up is that? Right there. Okay, that's about where some of my pink is falling. So I could take, and I could be very exact, but I'm not a super exact painter. But I'm gonna get, yeah, I like the little bits of lights in there. This is a reflection. I'm gonna just take this out of my finger, and I can just toggle it back and forth. If I wanted to, I could take and I could rub my finger, give it a little bit more of a softer edge. So you can play around with that. Okay, so the peach has helped these two colors. Okay, this one here, it's pretty bright over here on the edge. I really, oh gosh, I do like putting colors in. So what I'm going to do is this is, yep, that's the same one. I'm just going to add a little bit of this here on this side, bring it up. Okay, I'm seeing a little bit more of it here. Yesterday I had this way too wide, so I just kind of dropped it down a bit. that there is extremely distracting because it is so bright on the edge. So I'm just going to take my brush, I'm just going to lift it up a little. One, it got rid of the marks. Two, it dulled it a little bit. Gonna do the same right there. Come in, got this beautiful area here. Let me put it here. It's this one right there. Really bright. You catch the tops right there. I'm pressing a little harder here, so I'm getting a little bit more of a marks. Let's get that. It'll come along, get a little bit of light on that edge there. Let's put a little light there. Let's get a little light pop in there. Get a little light there. Come straight down. Well, that's taking form a little more. Still a little bit. So I'm going to come in. This is where you say, okay, this bright color here really is pulling me off to the edge. So I was using this green. So I'm just going to just come up and I'm just going to break up some of that orange. So it's really not, well, it's like a peach. It's a really pretty color. So sometimes that's what happens, isn't it? We like a color. So we actually want to leave something in because the color looks so nice, but it doesn't actually work for the painting. Okay, so I feel like this is working better. I've got this very unusual blue that I stuck in. Now I have to try to find it again. So I'm just going to do a little test here, and I'm going to do a test here. And I had this this blue right here, which is a cool, dull, darker value blue that I wound up putting in some of the shaded areas just to knock out so that everything wasn't that dark greenish blue. So I'm just going to come in to a little bit of those shaded side. And I don't want to put much there because I want that to feel like it's in the distance, but I'm just going to come down and just to add that in a few spots. Actually, I wonder how it'll look along this edge here. Oh, it does look nice on the edge. Okay, a little cooler, breaking up some of that green. Put this along that bottom there very, very lightly. Okay. And I'm going to put a little bit over here too. This tree is farther back than this one, so I am going to take and just bring this up a little bit farther. Might have to come back in and make some sky holes here. He's kind of starting to look like a cotton ball. Okay, I'm going to take and I'm going to drag a little bit of this down in here. I don't want this to go too dark, so I have to hold this and, oh geez, sometimes this paper, the edge of it curls. Very, very light. Okay, because I didn't press hard, there. Down, 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 down. One of the things with water is painting down and then coming across it. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. So what I'm trying to do is create the light that's coming in and then this flash of both reflection and not deeper water that is reflecting here, the sky that's up here that's not in the painting, that is darker. So I had a variety of dark ones and there's underpainting showing through. I don't want to lose that because that's giving me a really nice feel for depth because I can see through it. So I'm going to come through and the under part of some of this algae that's here, I am just going to put a little bit of this blue, just a little bit underneath this here, leaving alone. I'm going to make this a little bit darker. And if I go too dark or too blue, okay, coming across here, dark. What do I have over there? Light, light. Okay, over here, dark. Okay, let's start breaking this up a little bit. I am using super, super, super light strokes here. Okay, I'm going to come across. Okay, going to come across. Okay, getting that draw there. I'm coming up, I'm looking over here. Nothing's really gonna be really dark over there. Let me try a little bit here. Okay, so that whenever I was doing vertical lines for under the water, horizontal lines for on top. Pretty blue. I think I would like to. Anyone have any questions while I'm going along here? You can interrupt, ask me questions if you want. That's fine. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking while I work. Okay. I'm just going to, these guys are floating on the water, so I'm just going to add that little darkness that falls underneath that edge. Make it a little bit wider than I need just at the start, and then I can kick it back. That'll make that feel as if it's a little bit more floating on top. You know, when you look through, this is pretty shallow water here. So when you look through shallow water, what happens is you often see the lights coming down, it's hitting the algae, and you're seeing the shadow that's on the surface of the land underneath, so that you're getting like a three-dimensional look. I'm looking for kind of a muted darker color that's a little warmer, a little earthier. Ooh, oh, look at this. Okay, this is warm. Ooh, it might be too dark. That looks a little too dark. Okay, so let's try. So I'm in my variations of reds and violets. Well, that guy might work. Okay, so let's get that. Let's just break him down a little bit. And bring that, and that'll give a little bit of warmth, that feeling that's underneath the water. Especially what's really near us, we're gonna be able to see it. And if this looks too colorful, this is it. If you like color, I like color. I don't necessarily want to paint a lot of browns, that mucky, shallow that we have in these low parts of the water. So real soft. Okay, I can come in. I can bring that blue up again just by taking very lightly, dragging this. See what's happening? I'm getting rid of some of it just by a little light drag. Again, I'm trying to keep it in a horizontal mode. And this color is, you know, my mind is clicking and I'm saying, I'm wondering where else this color could go. I don't want much of it in the background because it's not going to make sense having it in the foreground and in the background, but little pieces of it. Okay, that works pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to get a darker, cooler, warmer blue that's there. This one might be a little bit garish. Let's have a look at it. Oh, might not be. Okay, so see that area there? I'm going to knock that down a little bit where that dark is. It was almost like it's my key for where I have it, and I'm just going to bring that across. And again, I'm doing a lot of very horizontal marks at this point because I want it to feel like it is float. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so let's get in here. Super, super, super light. You know, sometimes when you're at that point where you're doing like this, it's like, wow, I could mess this up in like 2 easy strokes, really easy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that colors little. Okay, it's warm, it's dark. Coming across. Okay, now this area in here is catching both the reflection of the sky above, but there's also areas that are showing up underneath. Because again, this is that really low marsh. let's get some of this in here too. Let's break some of this up. And I always feel like I can put down colors that are a little bit more colorful, and I can knock them down if they're too colorful. So I'm never worried about that. Let's soften some of that up, just soften that edge up, come across. This is with quick little marks the side of my hand. Okay. Okay, let's get this over here taken care of. And this is that same blue that I had up here in the sky right here. And I'm going to start coming across in this, oh, this paper's, okay, I'm going to break this up. Okay, going to come down just a little bit, drag it down just slightly. Don't want to go too far. And let's look at these little sky holes that I have. And a few little spots there. I'm going to just be a little bit bolder there. And little ripples, so I'm going to just kind of, water's moving a little bit more right there. It's narrow, it's widening here, so I'm getting that little cut through. Let's see, is this the color? Okay, let's take this, and we're just gonna move this back and forth. Yeah, and I am gonna knock down some of this. It's working in some spots and it's not working in others. So I'll just bring in a glue that I used back in there. And I will just go like that. Okay, let's get the shape of this this algae. It'd be nicer if I was saying it was lily pads, but it's actually not. I could paint lily pads, but I actually don't have any photos of lily pads. I don't really want to make it up. There we go. Okay, it's coming this way. Probably shouldn't have put all that there. Got carried away. And then let's pull up that. Oh, that green's too dark. We need one that's a little warm. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, he's pretty. I usually don't take the wrappers off until, like, some of this is a schminky. So what I do is I leave the wrapper on, and for half the paint of the stick, and now we have the piece. Wrap it up again, especially something like a schminky. I don't have a lot of them, and I'm not going to remember when this gets so small what it actually is. Oh yeah, this is a nice little pop of that color that's coming across here. Okay, and then these guys are going to get knocked down a little bit because they are in the shade. So I'm just going to come in and just, I don't always use a brush this much, but with the water, I do find that it's a great way of keeping getting your colors in and not getting fiddly with the end of a hard pastel or a pastel pencil. Okay, let me have a look there. Okay, dark here. Okay, I'm getting my dark area here. Oh, geez, that color there is just slightly annoying me. So let me just double check something. Let me check the height of this guy right here. Okay, there we go. Just want to make sure. There we go. Going to get this a little darker over here. So I really wanted to feel like this side here is darker, and it's actually the tree, so I'm gonna just do a really super, super light across there, super light there.
So Betsy,
Yeah,
why did you say that? I assume it was that blue colored kind of mid bottom. Why was it annoying you?
it was annoying me because what happened is I had a combination of a dark green. Then I had this blue that was, more of an intense blue. It was a darker
Mhm.
value, but it was more intense. And although I initially liked this, this russety, muted, warm, middle value or middle dark value, it's just not gelling. I think what happened is that I put too much of this color here underneath, and even though I was going to be covering over it, it's just showing through into any spots. So it's just a color combination. So I'm just gonna go like that, flatten these guys up. The ones that are near, it's kind of like clouds, things in water. What happens is they flatten out the farther they go away. So these guys that are way back at the end, by the shoreline, you wind up with flatter lines. The guys that are in the foreground, you see a little bit more of that curvy shape that's near you. And that's the way clouds go too, clouds, the farther off in the sort of horizon, the bottom that is, clearly we have wispy guys that go up in the atmosphere. So we just do a couple of little things like that. I think. Yep, and then I'm just going to come in with a little bit of that. Did that answer your question, Paula?
Yep, that was good.
Okay. That same color that's back there, I'm just going to do a couple of little light spots there. Oh, hey, watch. Ooh, maybe this will work. I might kick myself. Nope, not. I thought maybe it would work as in here. But no, the color is, I don't know what it, sometimes I know exactly what's the matter with a color, and sometimes no way on earth. And I have no idea what it is about this color. Okay, this is just grass here, just gonna make some rough marks along there. This is too light down here on the bottom. I'm gonna break that up a little bit. And then let's get well, if you missed that one, I just threw that pastel on the ground.
Oh,
So thankfully I have layers of pads that I stand on, but I'm gonna probably hear a crunch in a minute because I can't find it. So we're not using that color anymore. Okay, there we go. Look at this guy. He is way too bulbous. Knock him down. And then I'm gonna come out with that little dark guy again and just put a couple of little marks underneath. I just feel more of that in that foreground. Bring that over. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going to add a couple of little spots here. But it's light. Put it on real thick there. This is a beautiful, cool light value. Pretty, it's got this lovely mint look to it.
mhm.
Okay, up here, just gonna do a little bit of dragging, not gonna be too much light there. Made it a little bit too light, so gonna just adjust that, drag it down a little. And choose a color that is a little bit more neutral. And this is Oh, he looks a little bit too blue. Forget that idea. So let's try this guy. Okay, he's a little bit more neutral, so we're gonna adjust. So I don't want to have any light color in there. This is a lot of shade, and I'll just drag him in a couple of directions. Through here. I'm not really terribly happy with the way that this bottom area works there. I mean, it's nearly there. The shape of it's just not right. And I'm going to get in some green on that bottom. So as much as that lid area works, it's not, and I'm kind of giving it that little wispy sort of movement. That's what it needs. Just needs some texture. It needs some movement back and forth. Yeah, that's another one of those things is, just trying to. Okay, I like that much better. And when I say I like it, it means I feel like it's working better in the painting, because what's happening is I'm thinking about what's in the painting as opposed to trying to replicate that photograph. So that's making more sense to me. This is feeling, yes, and I've got that blue, perfect, okay, great. Yeah, question?
Betsy,
Yeah,
in the image that I'm seeing on the computer, it looks like very even steps along the right edge in the blue. Those marks there, they're like very even.
so the, let's see, which, you mean?
Just on the edge, on the edge.
Oh, on the edge, yes, thank you, Mary Jane, yes, you're right. Look at that. And this is another thing about, and it sounds like I'm complaining about UArt. I really like UArt, but there are a few things about UArt that's problematic. It has started to curl. So I have to hold it down, and those marks that I was getting was because the edge of the paper was curling. So as I drew my pastel over there, it raised. Yeah, I'm gonna, and I'm not really sure how much you can see but there's a multitude of layers that's happening here, which is what I was going for. The layer, so that you could look through, this blue, and you can see all the other colors that are underneath. So I think I'm going to stop it before I do any more work here as she goes and picks up her pastel. Remember where I said this guy over here was starting to look like a marshmallow puffball here? So let's get him the sky holes there. And I'm gonna knock down this color here by getting a little bit more muted color. Yeah, it's a little bit more muted. I don't want that bright color on the end. Okay, questions, comments?
Watching you put on various layers and going back again, and then you change the stroke in the area, it's very helpful for me. So thank you.
Oh, and I seriously am using, well, see, this is handy too. I know I've said it in class. Hold your painting up to a mirror. I know I've done this before when I'm teaching, is I look at it on the screen and I'm seeing a mirror image, and that's where you can see things that didn't notice in the painting. So I am seeing my dark move. That's good. I've got that light that's running across. Okay, if this guy's got a corner on it, it's a little bit unknown factor happening here. But I don't want to really bring down any more of that light algae. So I may play around with getting a little bit darker right there. The image on the screen, at least that I can see, is slightly lighter than it exists in real life. Otherwise, colors look fairly accurate. It's just, it looks a little bit lighter. And I think you're probably missing out on the lovely, although it's light, it is muted because it's got a lot of light value to it, but there's a beautiful green. And this green against here is working well. And I'm gonna probably sit and look at it and come up with places where that green needs that little bit of contrast. And that's where you can see the beauty of it. But I'm gonna change this now and just find out if anyone had any questions, comments. You can still see me on the little screen.
Thank you very much for I like your treatment of the water. That was very helpful.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you, Betsy.
thank you, thank you.
I like how you
Betsy-
broke up the reflections. It looks nice in the back.
Yes, and it's really a matter of, you know, when I was doing it for the class yesterday, it's doing a lot of the vertical painting so that when you go to add either objects floating on the water, reflections on the water, and you're using a horizontal or diagonal-ish lines or marks or objects, what happens is that vertical underpainting actually establishes the feeling of water. And if you don't use the underpaint, that's where a couple, like over here, I just chose to take and rub it, you know, so that I'm actually smoothing it, because you're just not going to have the same sort of hard edges. Photographs are deceiving too. There's a lot of hard edges in this photograph. They didn't exist in real life. You know, the photograph did that. So I have to, you know, reinterpret it. And
So
then-
Betsy-
Betsy,
Interesting point.
Okay, I'm gonna take, I think it was Mary Ann first.
okay.
Yes.
So I had a question about the reflection in actually the water itself. So
Mhm,
there are spots in the water where it's rippled from a breeze,
mhm.
and then spots where it's still. And I
Mhm.
can't tell on my little monitor on my iPad if you did that.
Yeah, yes, because as you know, that's why I've got like the ripples running across. I've got more marks that show up in this area. This area here, although there are marks, the values are close together, so you don't notice the marks as much. So that's one
Okay.
way that you can, good question, Marianne, you know, let's carry over from yesterday, is this area here, there's really relatively no marks. So this is feeling as if there's, you know, a pretty clear reflection, getting more marks here. So it feels like, you know, we can see it in here, changes in value, as if there is something that's rippling. Over here, same thing, you know, because there's a little contrast here, it feels as though it's rippling. And water, what you have to remember with when wind comes across the water, it doesn't necessarily come across even. It can come across lift, come back down again. So you don't actually have to have lines the whole way across to have it look like the photograph may show that, but you don't have to paint that. You know, you think of when you're out on the water, you see, or you know, that there's a word for it. And I've been trying to, I have to look it up because I can't think of it. There's a word for that rippling when it comes across the water. So
Might it be squall?
could be, I think
It's-
squall
it's
might be the
something that-
sky.
It's something they used
Squall
in
is definitely
sailing,
when the
right?
wind hits the water, but it's
Yeah.
usually strong wind.
It could be squall. Well, this is going to be my evening activity because I think this is like the fourth time I've said to somebody, I know there's a word for that and I've done nothing about it.
I think they use it in sailing, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a sailor's word for when you get
Yeah.
the wind is whipping across the water and then it
Yeah.
disappears. So
Yeah.
you get a lot of like, not necessarily waves, but you get a lot of surface action and then it's calm.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's it. I'll just ask a sailor.
Yeah.
Anyone a sailor here? Sailors know all those words and weather people.
I did sail. Squall was the word we used.
Squall. Okay, squall. There you
That's
go.
about it.
We'll stick with
That's about
squall. And then I know somebody else had a question.
Oh, just quickly, it's Deborah.
Yeah.
So what is the final stroke that you use for the water reflections? Is it vertical or horizontal
I use horizontal.
for the
Okay,
final?
so
Okay.
I think of the water as the whether it's reflection or shallow water. It's
Mhm.
everything that's either under the water or reflection. And then when you put your horizontal or your slightly diagonal strokes, what happens is you've got that interplay of either smooth, because there's areas here I took and I smoothed, or that I painted vertically. And when I do the cross,
Mhm.
okay, that is a mark making that feels as though there's something that's going across, that.
So like
horizontal.
interference, interference?
Oh, okay, that's a good way to think of it, sure, yeah.
Okay, thanks, yeah.
When I'm doing shallow water, like if I was gonna blow this up, or if I was gonna spend more time on this section down here, when you're doing shallow water, you are rarely seeing the reflection of the sky because it's so shallow, you're seeing through the water to what's under the water. So what happens is to make it look like water, you really are just painting what's under the water. And then you just put a sum or a few marks for where the light has hit different sections of the water that's on top. So it's, like if you've done a glass vase,
Mhm.
you paint everything, and the very last things you do for a clear glass vase is you put the highlights where the light is hitting the vase. So you really never paint, a glass vase like this. You paint everything that's in the glass vase, and then you just put your little marks.
Oh, that's
where
an
the light-
interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, because it's clear. And that's exactly what shallow water is. It's clear. Well, we hope most
Yeah.
of the time it's clear. So you're just looking straight through it.
Thank you, yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah. Good question, Deborah. Anyone
Thanks.
else?
So Betsy, the
Betsy.
term I
That'd
was
help.
thinking of was puffs,
Puffs. Oh, there you go.
puffs.
Puffs.
That's what the sailing term is for when they see the water ripple and they want to catch a puff.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna write down these words right now. So we've got squall, which I know how to spell, and puffs. See, that's another thing. And I do keep a whole list of nautical, because I have my little nautical theme that I do. So I keep a list of words that I hear that are nautical.
Oh,
And they can become
Yeah.
part of your title. That's what
Yeah.
happens with these that you write down in the beginning. Then you don't
yeah.
get bogged down with, West Yarmouth Marsh. You can add like a little bit of personality to it, by taking like some of those words that I wrote over there.
There you go.
So puff may appear in this, or squall. We'll see.
Puff would work. Squall is really for stronger wind,
Yeah.
usually associated with, could be any kind of storm, strong or soft.
Yeah, and that's initially what I thought of, more, stormy. Like if there was a squall, I would not want to be out in my boat.
No,
Basically, that's the way of thinking about it. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so let's see if I'm looking for, I don't know where it is. I was going to show you the one that I actually did. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is the one that I did actually on location. It's in a plastic. Different
Oh,
angle,
that's
different approach. But I still, there was a lot less water because of the angle that I was at painting. So it is really fun to come and paint something from plein air and then take and say, look at the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, look at that. Look at far cooler colors up in here. I focus more on the water. Here I focus more on the marsh, that the reeds that were in the background, the reeds that were in the foreground. So I had kind of zoomed in, must have been in this section here. I don't know if that was even that tree. It's a very pretty spot. I thought for a plein air class, that'd be the perfect spot to go for greens. Because there were lots of greens. lots of greens. Nice parking lot. They had little picnic tables there. You know, if someone wanted to paint paths, there was paths. Wasn't a very large area, but you know, you could probably fit, you know, a dozen cars or something. Very pretty, right near, not too far from Captain Parker's restaurant. So, anything else? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you guys
Great place to go
came.
for dinner.
It's fun.
Or lunch
Thanks, Betsy. A
afterwards.
lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Did you like this 5 o'clock time? Do you think that?
Yes.
would work?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, and Jenny, you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, because what time? You're like 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock? You're
3
okay.
hours.
Okay, yeah, so it does work out well. I might miss out on, what's really nice is when I get either emails and I did get a phone call a couple of weeks ago from someone I haven't seen in ages, a friend of my sister's, who had said that he just wanted to call and tell me how much he likes watching the recordings. And it was just like so nice because I didn't even know he watched the recordings. So, you know, it's a
nice.
fun way of, you know, sharing some time with people, and I appreciate you guys showing up. So it was really nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Betsy.
Great fun.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
Nice
we'll
to
see some of you sooner, otherwise it'll be July.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, thanks
Bye,
everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
Sarah.
nice
Bye.
night. Bye, Betsy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There, and Jenny, and Mary Jane.